everybody? It's your boy IAMSU, and we're here for a very special episode of Tapped In. Now, this person is very, very close to me. I look at him like a big brother. And, it was kind of random. I felt weird asking him to do it because I didn't know if he was going to do it. He's not an in front of the camera type guy. But this is Kuya Beats, my big bro, amazing producer. What up? Welcome to the show.
Pleasure.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me, man.
Really just an honor to have you here. I look up to you in more ways than one. So, what's been going on with you? Tell the people, for the people that don't know about you and everything. What's up?
Man, I really pride myself on being a advocate for just being a Bay Area person. I enjoy working with young people. I enjoy working with young energy as far as music, and I'm an educator as well. So a lot of that kind of balances itself out in the eyes of the people I work with. So I work with HBK. Pilo's my brother, so a lot of people know me.
Yeah, let's get that out the way right now.
This
is his older brother right here.
Pilo, that's why they call me Kuya, because it means big brother in Tagalog and Filipino. So a lot of it is based around that, and that's where I kind of got my start working with HBK. But now I work with a whole bunch of, a whole slew of cool new artists coming up out of the Bay Area. So I'm just super excited about what's coming up next for the Bay, man. So yeah, I'm excited.
So how did you get started producing?
My producing career always started off with, youth radio, something similar to what happened with us. Youth radio was, is a nonprofit organization in Oakland that they were based in Berkeley at one point, but they taught students how to do media broadcasting. But now they also have a music program, which kind of got me into the whole music scene. So shout out to Havanya.
Man,
you feel me? Havanya.
This is the second time she came up. She came up yesterday. Shouts out.
That's what I'm saying. Havanya's so real, man, and I love Havanya, man. She got crazy, positive energy. So shout out to Havanya.
Tracademics said that Havanya changed the trajectory of Bay Area rap.
Cause single-handedly, bro. She was almost like the Forrest Gump of the Bay Area rap scene, bro. Without her, bro, it's crazy.
She played an important part. Yeah. Well, it was funny, we went to high school together.
Yeah.
But I don't think we got super cool until the day I seen you in youth radio.
Cause me and Sue, I remember watching you grow up being in high school, and you were kind of like the quiet, strong, silent, hella tall. I was like, well, I don't know, every time I see
tell the story you always tell.
Every time Sue had this little homie named Push that was he came up and we were supposed to do this rap sort of
Shouts out to Push Pender.
Shout out to Push, bro. I love Push. But Push came in kind of very aggressive into this cipher that we had. And he was like, hey, y'all gotta have y'all 16s ready. And I'm like, oh man, me and my homies are sitting there I'm looking in a circle man, he for real, he mean it.
I described the scene of what was going on, describe how the people looked, and describe where we were at.
So we were in the hallway somewhere. I think it was one of the high school hallways. And everybody's kind of in the circle, we kind of just busting raps or whatever. And mind you, I'm kind of rapping at the time, but kind of still, pursuing music at some point or the other.
Right.
So if you ain't never wrote a 16 in your life, bro, I don't ever fool with you. I can't fool with you. If you don't have a 16 in your phone that you've attempted to rap to a song, you fake. It's period. I'm putting that out there. But to go back to the story, basically we were sitting there ciphering. Sue is kind of like the muscle key behind Push. Push is like the small dude.
That's hella funny how you seen it.
Sue's hella over everybody, and he's just kind of there. And that was kind of my initial impression of Sue.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know what to take from it, but I knew he was making beats. Everybody was talking about Sue's crazy, Sue making beats. And I'm like, yeah, that's crazy, that's tight. I believe him. I believe that, you're super talented, but I really didn't have any interaction with him. Mm-hmm. But I remember walking into youth radio, and at that point, there was only one studio. Yeah. So I remember you were making a beat, and I didn't know it was you, but I just heard the beat, and I was like, ooh. Yeah. Somebody in there filthy. So I walked back there, and then Sue just bobbing. And, that was where a lot of stuff kind of went down. Tracademics was the guru of all the music production and stuff. Mm-hmm. And you kind of had to be raw to play off the big speakers.
Yeah, the big speakers was very prestigious. What was interesting about that whole situation, when you walked in, because I knew Pilo first. Uh-huh. When you walked in, you and Pilo had the same Rockaware jacket on. Yeah. But I also had a version of that Rockaware jacket, so I just knew it was Pilo. You feel me?
Yeah.
So I damn near called you Pilo.
Yeah. And Pilo used to go through my wardrobe. Right. You feel me? Because that's what little brothers do, you know. And I was like, you know, you could rock the Rockaware one time. You know what I'm saying? That was top shelf.
Let him live.
I was like, yo, I'm gonna let you rock. That was the interaction with Sue. You know, that was one of my first interactions with Sue as just individually. And then, you know, from that point on, him and Pilo connected, and you know, and Chief got inserted into the equation. I got thrown into the pod. It was like the perfect storm.
Yeah, talk about how HBK started. Like from the
inception,
from when it was nothing to where we at. So
man, the inception of HBK is crazy because it really took people by surprise because it never seemed like the natural answer. I think in a lot of ways people looked at HBK as like the creative kind of weird kids, particularly like Sue, particularly like Pilo, and I think people oftentimes just expected you guys to stay producers. Yeah. And I always sort of saw you guys sort of incept songs and do crazy stuff, and I was just like, man, this just makes sense. They gotta go out and step from behind the piano and go do it. And I think Chief had the studio. Chief, I remember when me and Chief first bought the studio setup. Yeah. We went to El Cerrito Guitar Center when it used to be in El Cerrito, and Chief attempted to buy a music setup, and they didn't have it. Yeah. So me and Chief looked at each other. He was like, but there's one in San Francisco. There's one in downtown SF.
And at that time, San Francisco felt like LA. Oh, like man. Going to San Francisco.
That was crazy. We just started driving. So we were like 17 at the time, whatever. And you guys were still in high school. So we were like, man, fuck it, let's go. So we drive down to the city. We buy the music setup. The first music production setup was one of them little starter kits. It had a little M-Box, 2 M-Audio speakers. We had a little punk-ass mic. You know what I mean? But that was almost I think that was the starting point for HBK as a whole. So
from there, so many places we would record at.
Yeah, so many places we would record at. I think like you did the function verse on there.
I did, yeah.
Up was recorded in that studio. Like Swaggin', all of like the classic HBK records were recorded in that studio. And you know, from that point on, I think that was the birth point and the starting point of HBK. And then Cool John, with the parties and the scene that he created in Richmond, sort of added a level of craziness. And you know, Rance was around, and
you put me and Rance together.
Yeah, Rance was one of the first dudes that I touched base with at CCC because I knew him from high school. So the whole idea was like, hey, blood, you make beats, I want to rap. I'm like, yo, that's awesome. And there was the Diligence going off at the time. There was J-Ant, there was Damie, there was the whole inception. You got Slowpoke running every single record, playing, DJing all the house parties. So it was a whole subculture that was kind of brewing at that time. And HBK was kind of just the birth. That was the offspring of all of that happening.
Yeah.
I think, you know, and that's how I kind of look at HBK. And, you know, we accepted, you know, our responsibilities to sort of be stewards of this, and you know, where we're at now, you know?
Yeah, and that's why I think it's so dope that we've been around for a long time. And as you said earlier, it's like transitioning to the newer talent.
Yeah.
And like ushering in a new generation, because the generation before us didn't accept us with open arms. So to have people like you that actively go and search and try to discover people that might not even be serious artists yet. Yeah. But then you put that light in them. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. I think that's super important too, because I think I wouldn't necessarily say that the generation before us didn't embrace us, but I think it was definitely something that was a little harder to do for them because I felt like they were coming from a different perspective.
Right.
And I feel like we were coming from it with a whole new sort of way to look at music. And I think I remember going to 17 Hertz playing music. God rest his soul for the Jack. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember going there playing beats for Big Rich. I remember going in there playing music for all of these people. And it kind of showed me that, like, you know, that we had to go do it ourselves in a lot of ways. And I think that's what this generation and any young person coming up just has to sort of embrace, that you at some point you have to go out and go challenge yourself, step out on faith and go do it. You know, and I think that's the challenge for every person. You know,
those just paying dues times.
Yeah.
Like, we came up in a time where you made beat CDs.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to talk about like some of the most interesting moments of when you would make a beat CD and who are some of the people that you brought beat CDs to and stuff like that.
I remember when M1 Promo in Richmond used to go off. And they used to have mixers up there. Remember when we went up there? We went up there to go meet up DJ Drama.
I couldn't go. My mom wouldn't let me go.
I remember we had the BCD. We was down the street from
I
Street
gave
House.
y'all the CD.
We put together a BCD, And DJ Drama was there. It was when the Gangsta Grills album came out. Me and P-Lo was looking so square in there because it was kind of many. It was just like all of these people. And I remember I got, what's Brody's name? La Dark Man?
La Dark Man.
La Dark Man. I remember seeing him, and it's crazy because, you know, Drake talks about him and does all this crazy stuff like after that. So for me to like put the pieces together, like, hey, let's put together this beat CD. I mean, mind you, the beat CD didn't go anywhere. You know what I'm saying? It was a flop. Like, nothing happened to it. Nothing, you know, we put our contact information on there. No email, no hit back.
I'm about to ask Drama, like, did you ever play that?
Do you remember that interaction?
That interaction?
You know, I think a lot of those situations where you do fail, it just kind of shows you, like, an opportunity to grow and be like, okay, well, that obviously was like, okay, maybe we should just try making our own song. So I feel like, you know, somebody might have looked at it like as a loss, but another person might have just been like, all right, well, that just wasn't meant to be. So I think that's how I kind of looked at it, and we just kind of kept pushing.
It built character.
Yeah, and it's funny because like P still has the poster of the DJ Drama just hanging up in his room randomly, but he was like, man, we going on tour with him, a Wiz, like. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was like, it was crazy. We was trying to link up with Drama, but we ended up, and this is at the height of the whole Lil Wayne mixtape shit.
And Drama
was like,
he looked like our key. He looked like our golden key to success.
Yeah, he was just like looking like he was glowing, and it was just like, man, fuck yeah, like, you know, let's fucking give some beats to DJ Drama and see what hopefully Lil Wayne will rap on it. Like, you know what I mean? Right. Like, that was the goal. Like, damn, let's get Lil Wayne on the beat.
Let's get Lil Wayne on the beat. For
you
real.
know, but it was definitely an aha moment for us to be like, okay, that's not how it works. You know, and I think you kind of have this linear idea of how things work, but it's deeper than that. You know,
exactly. It's a real deep concept. So, like, what made you start producing? Like, what got you into the whole concept of, like, I want to make beats? Like, what about music inspired you to do that?
Oh, man, I've always loved music, and I'm not coming from, like, this weird, like, place where, like, my dad was a musician or, you know, or anything. My parents are just super, like, not regular people, but they just weren't musical people. So, but I listened to Kanye West, College Dropout, man, and it was crazy because it just sounded... all of the music just sounded so whimsical and so like crazy. It refreshed my palate for me listening to rap music, because I used to listen to Tupac and a whole bunch of other stuff. So for me, it was like I was like, I can make rap music like this. This is awesome. This sounds like freaking, you know, the Muppets or something, like stuff that I would like listen to. Like, it sounded like the soundtrack to that shit.
Like magical.
Yeah, and you know, I'm big into like anime. I'm big into like creative like stuff, like, you know, whatever, Sesame Street. I grew up watching hella cartoons and shit, so for me it's like it almost made sense. I was like, damn, I want to make music like this, and I felt like that changed the trajectory of like music for me. I felt like, damn, Kanye's not crazy. He looked kind of manny with the pink polo, but I remember just stealing his whole style and just rocking the polos. And
he was fire in high school with that. Yeah, he was having full polo fits in high school.
I had it, bro. Before polo, I remember I had the polo, the young drill shorts, and I remember those became a thing. The drill shorts.
You had the young drill shorts.
The young drill shorts.
Shoes. What was them shoes called?
Oh, bro, I forgot, the little Sperry's.
Yes.
But Tracks put me under the Sperry's. So I was like, I seen Tracks used to wear the Sperry's.
Time out.
The pizza.
Ready?
Little B is a reflection of society, bro. It's crazy. Shout out to Lil B. We back home, man. We back home. And no, I wanted to just say, like, you know, Kanye West really changed the game for me, as far as the College Dropout, and it kind of opened my eyes up to new music. I would go back and listen to those samples that he would like sample, and I'd be like, damn, what is that sample? I'm trying to figure out, is he playing every little string on that? And I'm thinking that's how he's doing it. And then I figured out, like, oh, he's taking a sample and flipping it and speeding it up. That's why it sounds that way. So for me, music, my genesis of like my music career kind of started with the College Dropout. Yeah, it's not my favorite Kanye album though, but we'll get that conversation later. But Kanye West, I watched. Did you see the Complex did like a favorite Kanye albums, and then like who else did it? Somebody garbage. They just did a horrible chop job.
Oh no, I don't know if I have a favorite. I like them all individually, in weird ways. My favorite used to be Graduation.
Yeah, Graduation is,
but I think it was because I graduated high school that year.
Yeah, I think it is kind of based on where you heard it, because I think Late Registration has a special place in my heart, because I came out of high school and it was like, I'm dating myself, but I came out of high school and that came out and that was crazy.
Yeah, definitely. But like you said, samples. And I feel like that's what you bring to the table. You've definitely grown as a producer immensely from that point. But when I first began rapping on your beats and just being a fan of your beats, you samples. And I remember going, I never went record shopping. That's something I only would do with you. You feel me? And like just getting into samples and stuff. Like, name like 3 records that are like your favorite samples that you've sampled.
Oh man. I think I think my favorite record that I've sampled, some of my favorite records that I've sampled, don't sue me. Because that's definitely that's definitely touchy stuff.
Watch out.
But Tweet My Place for that Ty Dolla $ign Float record on was it Kill 3? Or was it Kill 3? Kill 2. I'm loaded. Kill 2 was one of my favorite records because I remember I made that in Pinot. I heard the loop. And I swear it took like 10 minutes for me to put the drums on it. It just was like, and I called you and you immediately like dived into the beat. And I knew exactly what was finna happen. Yeah. And it was crazy because that moment in time was just like, I like felt it happening. And I think that's what's so tight is like, I felt it like, oh my God, this is one of them ones. And you were like, bro, we should get Ty Dolla $ign on it. I'm like, bro, that would be crazy. I remember when he sent back the record. Yeah. The shit was like,
he took that shit to outer space. He had Terrence Martin play.
And that was it was an awesome sort of experience because it was almost like they had I felt like they might have had a moment where he just kind of was like, yo, Terrence, hop on the sax and play it out at the end. And then me and you had that moment. It was kind of cool because it kind of was happening at 2 different places. So it was kind of based out for me. And I was like, when I heard the final song, I was like, crazy. Yeah. Crazy. And that was one of my favorite records that I've ever produced. Just because it felt so natural. It was so seamless. It wasn't like one of the ones where you're like working on it for 80 hours. Yeah. You know, because like you can work on a song and fall out of love with it and be like, oh my God, I still want to fix that kick. I want to do this. But when that record was just so natural, it almost felt like a freestyle. It almost felt like, for me as a producer, definitely. It almost felt like a producer freestyle because it came out so quick and then you made it happen hella fast. And I was just like, oh shit.
Your beats, like especially in that time frame, I would just say real ass shit on your beats. Like I could only say real shit on your beats. You know what I mean? Man. Yeah. And like my favorite one is Church.
Church is awesome, man. I love Church. I remember I made that beat in the Starbucks. Yeah. For some reason I had to take my mom to Lake Merritt. She was doing like some I don't know, some job training stuff. And I was like, all right, I'll just go into the Starbucks and I'll just plug my laptop in. I'll just make some beats. And that's where I kind of get to tinkering with stuff. Because, I mean, it's kind of hard to tinker in a room full of people when it's like the speakers are on. So that's when I get in my tweak mode and I'm like finding samples and like chopping them up, reworking them. I don't know, people at Starbucks be looking at me crazy. Like, people be like, what the? Is he possessed? Like, I be in there geeked up. And it's funny because sometimes the baristas will just come over. And then, like, there's particular Starbucks and Pete's Coffees that I go to. People are like, yo, you know what I mean? They'll be like, Kuya Beats. And I'll be like, what's up? Like, you're making a beat right here? And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty based. And then they're like, man, let me get you coffee. And they'll just buy me a coffee or buy me a tea. So shout out to all the people that do that, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. That's hella clean.
And it's like, damn, I was going to get a refill, but right on. Like, But it's cool. But that was probably my favorite song. Church was an awesome record. And then I don't know about the third one. I'm trying to think of a third one that I really, really enjoy. Oh, my God. I think one of my favorite sample records that I heard you on was like, is it 2 Milli? Was it called? $1 Milli?
Oh, yeah.
2 Milli. Yeah. That shit.
We sat that on Cheeto Roof.
On Cheeto Roof. And I remember when you got them LeBrons that day. And I was like, ooh, he's shitting with the LeBrons.
I was so juiced.
And then you had to go up on the roof and get them scuffed up. I was like, boy, you crazy. I would have never done that.
That started my day as just not tripping about shoes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's before Jason Marks.
Yeah, but you came in there and it was the South Beaches and you was like, bruh. I remember that's when I was like, damn, Sue made it. He getting shoes. It's like he getting raw shoes and he not even tripping off of it no more. I'm like, yo, Sue made it.
That's hella funny because you remember me like when I was so dusty, I was just like a child. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
this is true.
Like Mecca and Reebok Classics.
Yeah, no. Shit, and the thing is that I think that was hecka funny because it's not that I still look at you that way, but I just see like the young person. Even though you're older now, I just see like a young version.
Even though I'm 40 now,
you can be 40, but I'm still gonna look at you as like Lil Sue. Like,
and I can feel that. And I'm not gonna lie, I never want that to change because that's like that's like the purity.
For sure, it's like how your mama's gonna look at you. Like I look at Pilo like I don't care what stage he rocking, that's still my little brother. I'm gonna look at him and be like, boy, if you don't pick up your clothes, bro. Like, because my mom would get on me. So it's like, I'm super happy to see all of the success that you and P Love had, and even with Sage being just the kind of like the squirrely little like teenager. Like, I remember that, like and I don't ever lose sight of that.
Squirrely is a funny ass word.